Let me know. We're ready? Okay. So, anyways, welcome to the back dungeons of San Diego Comic Con.
Hey, thank you. It's a space that I'm very familiar with.
So, talk about how all of this started. I understand it was with the Pathfinder game, right?
Yeah. We began. It began with me. I've been playing RPGs my whole life, and Liam and me were working on a video game project, and we were nerding out about D&D, and he's like, I haven't played since I was a kid. I'm like, well, man, if you ever want me to run a game for you, let me know. And so eventually we ended up deciding to get some friends together, many of which had never played, to just do a one-shot game. And everyone seemed to really like it, and then emailed back like, hey, when are we doing this again? And so it turned into an actual campaign, and we played in Pathfinder for 2 years privately. And then through a conversation between Ashley Johnson, one of our players, and Felicia Day and Geek and Sundry came to us like, hey, you want to do a show of your game? And we were very guarded because it was a very personal, very important game to us, and we'd all kind of bonded so heavily over it. And whenever you put something you love and are passionate about on the internet sometimes can tear it apart and leave it in tatters. But the Twitch format allowed us to do it uncut, unedited, all of its bells and whistles and bumps and rough spots, and that I think allowed us to not change how we played our game, not have to fit it into a small box and present it. We just did what we were normally doing, but with cameras in the room. And that's kind of how it got started. It resonated with an audience and an amazing community that came out of nowhere, and we're just happy that it's gotten where it is today.
You know what? I will have to admit, do you get paid doing this? Because that would be a dream job for any dungeon masters out there.
We do now. It's not like a living wage by any means, but even just a little bit, it's nice to know that there is a little bit of a supplementary income, telling stories with my friends and having all these wonderful media spin out of our campaign, and all these other people that are now watching the show and creating their own stories and sending us pictures. And to think that not only that's something I get to do more often now, but to get to actually pay a few bills with it is amazing. I get to literally put on my resume now, a professional dungeon master. And if I can go back in time and tell my 14-year-old self that was actually going to happen in the future, I would have laughed myself away.
11 million people will probably be like, hey, now I could have this as a career.
Dude, if you can make it happen, go for it. And there's actually a lot of other great live play shows that are emerging now. A lot of our fans are actually doing their own Twitch streams now of their games. So it's like, heck yeah, man. If you got a cool story to tell, do it with your friends. Put it out there. You'll never know who it may resonate with. It's really, really cool.
So how do you come up with all your stories? I mean, do you brainstorm yourself every single weekend?
Basically, yeah. I have about between 4 to 6 hours average a week that I use to prepare. And I've built the whole world. It's all a custom world. Homebrew, and so I'll get an idea from the last session of where they may be going, and I'll prepare those avenues as well as some other possibilities. I never know what they're going to do every week to week, but I try my best to prepare. Then when we play the game, shit usually gets weird and they veer off track, and I'm having to pull out of my ass and improvise, and that to me is really thrilling as well. So yeah, I try and prepare as best I can, but a lot of the time we end up just seeing where it's going to go by the seat of our pants.
Well, we're here at the mighty San Diego Comic Con, but the ultimate thing is Gen Con. You been to it, or you're going to?
I've never been. This is my first year at Gen Con, and I'm really excited. I'm doing a bunch of panels, and we're actually doing a live show the Saturday at Gen Con in a couple weeks to a huge 1,500 seat theater. That's going to be really, really wild. So yeah, it's kind of my going to the mecca of tabletop gaming I've always wanted to, but to go there with a bang. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's really funny for me because it was 6 years in a row working for Gen Con.
Oh wow!
And then I think I want to say 7 years for RPGA for myself. So I've been quite familiar.
That's great. I've been to I was Gen Con SoCal for the few years that was here, but it wasn't the same. I've been to Strategicon, but I've never had the opportunity to go to Gen Con India. I want to do so bad, so I'm super excited this year.
Awesome. Well, thank you for this conversation. Maybe one day I will game with you, sir.
I would love that, man.
Okay.
Hopefully I'll see you at Gen Con, if not some point in the future.
Yeah, let's do that.
Take care, buddy.